This is not a confession. This is not a belief system. This is a long-form observation of human behavior under consistent conditions. In psychology, observation is the first method. Before theory, before diagnosis, before intervention. This work treats the human social environment as a living laboratory governed not by ideals, but by survival mechanisms embedded in the nervous system. This is the human observer experiment.
This is not advice. This is not doctrine. These are philosophies stitched in the margins of the Spaceyverse. Welcome to Spaceyverse Philosophies.
In developmental psychology, early childhood is where pattern recognition precedes language.
Hey, who's hiding over there?
Before children learn words, they learn tone, posture, emotional temperature, and threat assessment.
Maybe a little curious.
Some children externalize this learning through speech. Others internalize it through silence. Silence is often misread as passivity. In reality, silence can be a highly adaptive observational strategy. Psychologists refer to this as environmental scanning, a behavior commonly found in children raised in unpredictable or emotionally volatile environments. The nervous system prioritizes information gathering over expression. Over time, this produces a cognitive split. Emotion is registered. Logic evaluates it. Action is delayed until the environment is mapped. This separation is not detachment. It is adaptive regulation. Animals demonstrate this state naturally. Their behavior is immediate, proportional, and resolved quickly. Fight, flight, freeze, then reset. Humans, however, add narrative. This raises the foundational question of the experiment. Are humans governed by instinctual clarity or by layered psychological compensation? Early behavioral psychology relied heavily on stimulus-response models. Introduce a variable, observe the reaction. This works well in controlled environments, but less so in human systems. Humans possess what animals do not: ego identity, social memory, unresolved trauma, anticipatory fear. A properly placed emotional trigger can bypass logic entirely. This is known as amygdala hijacking, where perceived threat overrides the prefrontal cortex. When this occurs, language deteriorates. Rational sequencing collapses. Behavior becomes reflexive. In experimental terms, the data becomes contaminated. This introduces an ethical problem. Does triggering survival responses reveal truth, or does it manufacture behavior that would not otherwise exist? Psychology answers this clearly. Stress responses reveal coping mechanisms, not character. At this point, intervention must stop. The observer must exit control and enter non-reactive presence. In physics, the observer effect states that observation alone alters outcomes. Human systems amplify this effect. When individuals know they are being watched, behavior improves temporarily. This is called the Hawthorne effect. But when observation is passive and prolonged, something else happens. Mask decay. And over time, intent becomes visible through consistent decision-making, energy allocation, conflict response, and resource control. Intent does not need judgment. It needs duration. Across social groups, a pattern emerges. When uncertainty arises, most individuals aligned with perceived authority, not competence. This is a survival adaptation and not a moral failure. Family systems theory identifies the family as the first hierarchy a human experiences. Authority is typically assigned by age, role, position, not capability. This conditions obedience before discernment. Children learn early that power is positional, safety comes from compliance, and questioning destabilizes belonging. This creates learned power suppression. Later in life, the same structure repeats in workplaces, communities, and institutions. Ego forms not as arrogance, but as territorial defense. When authority is threatened by competence, ego activates. Not to lead, but to preserve dominance. In psychology, systems resist disruption through homeostasis. Any element that threatens balance is neutralized. The Trojan horse is not aggressive. It does not overthrow. It simply exists competently without permission. This presence creates cognitive dissonance in authority figures. If competence exists without hierarchy, then hierarchy is exposed as optional. That realization is destabilizing. The system responds predictably with isolation, dismissal, reputation erosion, and structural exclusion. Not because the presence is wrong, but because it is revealing. Alternative systems often present themselves as liberated spaces, free of hierarchy and free of ego. In practice, most replicate the same survival dynamics with new language. Titles replace ranks. Followers replace citizens. Enlightenment replaces authority. The structure remains. When ego dissolves identity, power seeks new forms, and the experiment repeats. We see two groups, one task. In Group A, there is positional authority, top-down control, and suppressed feedback. The outcome? Delays, conflict, inefficiency. Now, Group B. We see authority emerges through capability, an equal input, functional role alignment, and the outcome? Faster execution, lower conflict, and system coherence. Psychology already confirms this. These are self-organizing systems observed in both neuroscience and organizational theory. They outperform hierarchical systems consistently, which leads to the final question. The answer is not ignorance. It is not tradition. It's not logistics. It is self-preservation. Obsolescence feels like death to ego-based authority. But evolution does not negotiate. Systems that cannot adapt will collapse under their own inefficiency. This is not a warning. It is a diagnosis. The experiment is ongoing, and the data is no longer ambiguous. Thank you for listening to Spaceyverse Philosophies. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and comment below. Subscribe for more content like this. And if you want a deeper look, enter the vault to access unreleased protocols, and enter the codex for more philosophies.
The philosophy is yours to carry. Transmission ends. Spaceyverse Philosophies archived.